Some of these have been on here a ridiculous length of time. Hey folks, it's Abby, and today I'm going to be going through the 5 books that have been on my TBR the longest. This is a little bit shameful. I have an excuse for one of them. One. It's the oldest one. I'm gonna go from the oldest to the newest. The oldest one, and the only one I have an excuse for, is Cathys Ring, and I also own Cathy's Key by Stewart, Weissman and Brigg. My excuse for this is that I bought Cathys Ring and Cathy's Key in the US in, I'm guessing, about 2010, don't at me, and I didn't realise that I wasn't buying the first one in the series, and I hadn't been able to get the first one in the series at any point up until July. I finally bought Cathy's book, the first book in the series, in July from a charity shop in Portsmouth. I've read it. I'm looking to then read the rest of this trilogy now. I read the first one. I'm hoping that I'm going to read the second one in October and maybe the third one in November and finally knock these ones out. So I did have an excuse in some manner in that I didn't have the first book, so I couldn't read them, but it's taken stupidly long for me to get the first book. This, I discovered after reading the first one, is a supernatural thriller. So it's got immortalism and then like the usual thriller stuff. The reason I picked it up was because of the different formatting with the doodles throughout, and then also this one has like a big poster at the back. The first one that I've got has got loads of different bits of evidence in a little envelope at the front. Then I have The Eagle of the Ninth Chronicles by Rosemary Sutcliffe. I got this possibly before that one, I'm not entirely sure. I think I would have been somewhere between 12 and 14 when I got this book. This is a bind-up of 3 books in The Eagle of the Ninth Chronicles. Didn't know that when I bought it. And I read the first book, only was interested by the last 50 pages, and then got really pissed off when I realised it was the end of the book and that I had to then start another book. And I just haven't picked it up since. I really struggled to get through the first book, I didn't enjoy it, and so it's not exactly lent itself to me wanting to pick it up again. Which is why it's sat on the TBR for so long. I really do just need to add the second book into a TBR at some point, read through that, and then I'll just have the final book left to go. What this actually is a historical fiction based around the 9th Legion, who were a Roman legion in ancient times in Britain who went mysteriously missing. Next up, we have Red Queen by Christina Henry. This was gifted to me by my wonderful best friend Georgia. She gave me this along with Alice, the first book in the, at the time, duology. I don't have the third book in this series because it seemed redundant because I haven't read the second one. I ended up getting this signed. I took this to Waterstones and got it signed by Christina Henry. I did like Alice. I need to read this. I've had this since probably 2016-ish. And it's not even big. It's 300 pages. The first book is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. Retelling is probably a bit generous, it does go off on its own. Not sure how Red Queen's gonna be. Then one of the books that I got first after watching BookTube, All the Light We Cannot See by Doerr. This is a World War II historical fiction which follows a blind girl who is blind from the age of 6 living in France, in Paris, and how she links up with a young German boy who comes to the notice of the Hitler Youth. This is big, the writing is small, and it's historical fiction, so it's probably going to be quite difficult to read. This had been a 5-star prediction at one point. At the very beginning of my channel I did a 5-star prediction video, and I've never done one since because I still haven't read this. I think this is the only one from that 5-star prediction that I haven't read. And I would no longer predict it to be 5 stars. I would predict this to be 2 or 3 stars. 2 or 3? No! I would predict this to be 3 or 4 stars for me now. Might be wrong, might still be 5, but I think probably 3.5 stars is going to be what this will come out at. And because I have that knowledge as well as the knowledge that I had it at a 5-star prediction, and it being big with small writing, just never picked it up. Thank you, plane, for interrupting my filming. And last but by no means least is Blackeyed Susans by Heaberlin. This was gifted to me by my partner right back when we first started dating. I've been with him for 5 years now. I spotted this on a secondhand stall and I was really into thrillers at the time, so I was like, oh, I want to get it, but oh, can I afford to buy it? It was £2. student life. And so he got me this, and he also got me Dear Amy by Helen Callahan. Read that, liked it, not read this one yet. It's been on here for 5 years. That's really bad. So this is a thriller where our main character had already been like kidnapped and left in a grave with 3 other girls who were dead. She was left alive, surrounded by Blackeyed Susans. They thought that they had put the killer behind bars. He's going to be executed, it's 16 years later, but now somebody is planting Blackeyed Susans outside of her window. Sounds really interesting. Julia Heaberlin sounds like a really good author. I follow her on Instagram. She's really interesting. I really enjoy looking at her content, and a lot of her books do sound interesting to me. I have been reading less thrillers. It was just badly timed. But I would like to read that one. It does sound really, really interesting, and fingers crossed I like it. Those are the 5 books that have been on my TBR far too fucking long. The longest one has been on my TBR for over a decade. So let me know down in the comments below how long you've had your oldest book on your TBR for, and if you can beat me with over a decade. I would be very surprised if the answer to that is yes. Very surprised. I did have books that had been on my TBR for over that. Much longer than that. I've unhauled them. These are the ones I'm still interested in. So yes, let me know down below how long you've had the longest book on your TBR for. If you did like the video, please do hit like. In the description box down below, I will have the trigger warnings for all 5 of these books. As always, I always put them in the description, as well as links to my book Twitter, my bookstagram, my book blog, and my Goodreads. And if you'd like to see some more from me, please do hit the subscribe button, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!